Hey, Packers, buenos dias, shalom, namaste. I hope you are well. Thank you for digitally joining us here, spiritually, emotionally, academically, um, to take a look at things here on a Thursday. Um, hey, miss you guys. Hope everybody's doing well. Miss you people. Hope everybody is doing well as we can be doing during these times. I put this picture up here of Mr. Sprigal, not because I'm confused on who I am or what grade you are in, but I'm going to post this on the Schoology page. I retweeted it here earlier in the week, but Mr. Sprigal spent what must have been dozens of hours putting together a really cool YouTube video. It's in part inspiration, it's in part a little bit of a history lesson, it's in part kind of a honoring of our seniors, but I just really think, is not surprisingly, somebody like myself who really likes South St. Paul, it's a really, really cool video. So I'm going to post it to Schoology. I'm going to highly recommend that you take a look at it. I think it's fantastic. If nothing else, then Mr. Sprigle spending his extra time putting stuff together to try to make everybody feel a little bit better, which, whether you had him or not, whether you know who he is or not, whether you like the video or not, it's good to know people care enough about us to spend time for us. Now, I haven't done this yet, but you know me, love making connections between what we're learning in school and what's happening in the real world. Real quickly here, before we get down to the lessons that I'm going to have you look at today, what we're learning is real life, right? So what I mean by that is, way back in Unit 3, we studied the creation of our government. Alexander Hamilton came up with these plans. What should the government be? Other people came up with plans. And one of the types of government that they created with our Constitution is a federalist system, or we have federalism. Now you take a deep breath. The fall was a long time ago. We had no idea what we were going to get into. But these two pictures are your big hint. What is federalism? Right. It's this idea that in America we have state governments, and the Constitution gives states certain powers. Certainly the states don't have power over the military, but they do have power over the National Guard. They can tax some things, but not other things. But then we also have a national government, or a federal government. So we have a governor, Tim Walz, who's in charge of just Minnesota, and a president, Donald Trump, who's in charge of the whole country. Now that's review. The reason I bring that up is, a lot this week there's been this discussion of when things are going to change, who gets to decide that, when things are going to change about how we live. Right now, we're in this very limited, kind of closed down way. It's hurting businesses. It's closing businesses in some cases. When should we start doing things differently? And there was a lot of arguments this week about who has that ability, who has that decision-making power. The Constitution doesn't really say much about pandemics. But it does say that schools are the jurisdiction of the state governments, right? But there are other things that are part of the national government. And certainly the national government has a lot of money at its disposal that it can control as well. So it's just a good example of stuff we're learning isn't like, who cares, this isn't going to ever affect me. But in fact, we were learning about a government that's really being tested right now, as all governments are around the world. Okay. That whole intro was 4 minutes. I thought it was going to be a little faster, but you can tell I think it was interesting. Now, what I'm going to do today, really, to be honest with you, today, folks, what today was a response was this week, and talking with teachers, just a lot of people are really concerned about students and want to make sure that students feel like we are being responsive to what you need, and that we aren't just piling stuff on you, just thinking that you're robots. So I sent an email out to you and the adults you live with, trying to say, hey, at the very least, please communicate. And I had a few people really do a good job of stepping up this week and taking ownership of what they need and communicating that. But really today, before we move into assessment, I really want to make sure that everybody understands this stuff and has work taken care of. Because what we need to do next week is try to do some kind of assessment. Don't raise your hand and ask what that's going to look like yet. We have 3 days together next week. We'll cover that. But I want everybody to feel really good about what we've been doing. And I know it's been a little bit hiccupy because, of course, I've been doing the paternity leave thing. But here's all I got today for you. You can see here in Schoology, and you might have a different Schoology page, right? Because I have 2 different history classes. But in the Thursday folder, we've got a Do Now. We've been doing a great job with that. And then we've got 2 pieces here. Just a standard survey back on Google Forms, which we've done. And then this is something new that I want to try, or using tools, but in a new way, right? So there's going to be a YouTube video link. There's going to be 4 questions from the YouTube video link, but it's all going to be review, right? So in that way, it's not really any new information. The notes are just optional, right? So it's just a notebook page where you could jot down stuff as you watch. You could pause the video, or you could look at your old assignments. That part is not required, but it is required that you watch the video clip. I know the link isn't in there yet. I haven't uploaded it, but you'll watch the video. You'll answer those few questions and take notes if you want on that. Then you'll have that as a resource. The whole idea is to have a review video as a resource as we start our assessments. The learning check that you did on Tuesday, people did very, very well. I'm going to address that in the review video, but that was very, very good to see that it seems like we're really understanding things well. So, number 1, I miss y'all and I hope you're doing well. Number 2, start to see how these things we've been learning about in U.S. history are really popping up left and right as we're going through this period that's obviously going to be in the history textbooks when I have Frank and Claire and maybe your kids in class someday. And then just get these 2 things done. Obviously the Do Now, so that's 3 things. If you do the Do Now, the distance learning check, and just a survey, just your opinion, and a learning check. And just know that in all these meetings that I'm sitting in on Zoom with all these different pictures popping up here, the teachers are saying, how are the kids doing? Who have you been able to talk to? And are we getting them where they need to be? Not are we just shoving stuff on them and saying, hey, figure it out, you're on your own. We don't want that to be the message. And so that's kind of what I want to make sure today that we cover. If you have late work, missing work, can you do it? Of course, because learning is the goal here, more so now than ever. Learning is the goal. If you didn't get logged in, you didn't get stuff taken care of on Tuesday, do it, right? That's the goal. Okay, reach out via email, via Schoology message. We can set up a Google Meet. My goal next week is to set up some of the conferences where we can just have open video conferencing with classes. I'm going to get better at that, going to work on that, but thanks for your time and keep up the good work. All right, 8 minutes, that's not bad. That's not bad. 8 minutes on this, 5 minutes on the distance learning, check in, another 15 minutes there, right? You'll be done with history in less than an hour is my goal, right? For sure. Great, thank you.